Well, welcome to Live today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited today to have Lindsay Few join me. Lindsay has been on our Awesome Rage team for a long time now. She has been my editor forever. She's our content director. She's my podcast co-host. She and Brian they have a church in Wilmington that they pastor, and they have their children and family there. And it's just great to have you here today, just to kind of share a little bit about what you do at Awesome Marriage, and also we're going to talk a little bit about parenting and how that impacts a marriage relationship. Thanks for joining us, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me. It's so fun to be here.
Yeah. So tell people a little bit more what everything that you do at Awesome Marriage.
Oh boy, that's really fun because I do so many things, which I love. I love that. I never get bored because I get to do lots of different stuff. I learn a lot because I'm editing all your content. So I'm getting tons of free marriage counseling, which I love. I've learned a lot. So I do content editing, which means all of Dr. Kim's blogs and everything he writes gets passed by my desk first for, grammar and whatnot. I love co-hosting the podcast. That's been really fun to learn how to do. I also just help like brainstorm and collaborate on some of the courses that we write. And then probably my very favorite thing that I do is writing YouVersion Bible plans. I just love doing that and helping people get into God's word.
And I'm so glad you're doing that. I think you bring such a great perspective to it in so many different ways. And so I love that. Yeah, you've edited everything. Last week, I sent a text to Nancy that I thought I should have had Lindsay edit this text first. It didn't come out like I wanted it to. So,
that's a good little idea.
Yeah. So,
text editor.
But yes, exactly. It's but it is all my writing, everything. And so it's great. You're a real blessing to Awesome Marriage and to Nancy and me. So we're so thankful to have you. So you did mention your favorite part is the YouVersion plan. Anything else that you would say is just that you really, really enjoy at Awesome Marriage?
Yeah, I mean, it's always really fun when we get to hear back from people. We put a lot of content out. It's all kinds of places. Here on Facebook is one zone, but we've got the podcast. We've got stuff on Instagram. We have the one thing email, the weekly email. We've got stuff going every which way.
Yes.
Tons of content. I mean, you're a writing machine. We don't know how you do it, but it's incredible. But then when we get to hear back from people and we hear their responses and seeing marriages actually being rescued and saved in real time, seeing people respond to that, it doesn't really matter which stream of content they've interacted with. When that happens, it's like all of our prayers and all of our work are answered. And it's so cool to see how God uses that.
Yeah. We love it. And I love it just to see that and know that God's using us and that also people trust us. And I think that's been something that's meant a lot to me. And I think that has a lot to say for you and our team, that we built this trust with people where they do feel comfortable asking us things, commenting on things, and knowing that we're going to do our very best to give them a godly advice on whatever they ask. And so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So you have teenagers. I remember those days, and I've got actually 2 grandkids that are now teenagers, which is amazing. I guess, no 2, just 2 that are that. So as a parent with teenagers, how is this season impacting your marriage?
Oh, wow. How honest can I be? It is. It's just a different season. It's so different because they need different things from us. And, with every season, it's new to us. Like we haven't done this before. And so like, I'll tell them sometimes, I'm like, I have not had you be 13 before. So I've got right now, our 4 kids are 10, 13, 15, 17. So
you got 3 teenagers.
3 teenagers. Yeah. And each one of them is in a different stage of that season. And so it's just kind of like there's a learning curve. It's a lot of fun. They do a lot of fun things, which also means lots of activities and schedules and driving people places. And so there's a lot that goes with it where, when they were little, they were just kind of with us wherever we went, whatever we did. Now they're just a lot more independent. They do different things. Some of this means really fun stuff like watching them play sports or like having friends over and doing activities. I think it just feels like a faster pace of life right now because of that.
That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I struggle with, just my personality. I'm a slow processor. I like to have a little heads up before stuff, and you don't really get that. And so I'm learning to roll with it a little better.
Yeah, because a lot of teenagers are impulsive and like this
Mhm.
things just happen, or
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Uh, since you two of your teenagers are boys and one's a girl,
Mhm.
so do you notice any differences in parenting? And they're all different kids, I know, but do
Mhm.
you notice any male female differences that you've seen just in this stage of their lives?
I think that one thing I notice is, we got a lot of big feelings. Teenagers kinda have a lot of big feelings. They're thinking through things, they are feeling through things, and so
Yeah,
the way that that comes out is a little bit different from the boys to the girls, and then we have different concerns, like, what it looks like right now is, from my kids, is that, my daughter is wanting a little bit more of our guidance, not that she wants to listen to us more, but that she wants to know, "I'm here with you, relationally, we're connected," whereas the boys are kinda like,
yeah.
"Hey, is it time for me to move out yet?"
I've
You know?
I've got this now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. I remember when,
Mhm.
I can't remember how old Grant was. He was maybe 16 or 17. He's probably sophomore, junior, and he was so mad at us about stuff.
Oh,
So I walked in and he's writing all this stuff down. He said, I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna move out either now or as soon as I'm 18. I said, okay, well, can I help you? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, let's just write down what it cost you to move out. So we kind of sat down together and he was like, did this list, what it cost him for everything, food, rent, everything that we provide, and all that kind of stuff, and car payment, car gas, all that kind of stuff. And so he just sat there and I said, okay, if you have any questions, let me know. So he never talked about moving out again, ever, until he moved out to go to college. It was kind of like, it was a reality. And I didn't know, it was just off the cuff, but it was kind of like, okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna come alongside him on this. I'll give him some what it's gonna be
Oh,
like. And
it's so
so
funny.
yeah, but I loved, our teenage years with our kids. I thought they
Mhm,
were fun like that. I loved getting to know their friends. Sometimes it's hard seeing the things their friends struggled with,
mhm,
especially if you got to know them and then just seeing them really struggle. Our home was Nancy and I always wanted our home to be a place where kids came, and so they
mhm,
did, Sometimes we had interesting times when
mhm.
some people would come over, but that was just part of it, and we loved their friends. So I think it is a good time. But I think so with your marriage, how did you and Brian navigate that with all the busyness that goes on?
Yeah, so it's a tough thing because 'cause we'll try to find, like I was saying, the fast pace of life is
Yeah,
certainly a factor because getting time together, I feel like we'll get into a season where we're in a really good rhythm and we'll do, like, maybe do take the dog for a walk in the morning every morning together.
yeah,
Maybe walk somebody out to the bus stop, our youngest out to the bus stop, and then take a walk with the dog or something like that, where we get some time to just be together. And then some schedule change will come along, know an hour and a half earlier. Well, there goes our dog walking time. And so
yeah,
all these, that's only for a little while, but things just kind of shift. Or right now it's summer vacation. So you can imagine that's different. It's a different time.
yes,
There's always somebody. And being that they're older, they do not go to bed early like they used to. So it's just really a matter of being intentional. And then when we have carved out that time, just not compromising on it. So if
yeah.
maybe we'll have some time where we sit on the front porch before dinner. And so they all want to come out. They all want to talk. And we'll have to say, you know what? We want to hear everything, but right now it's our time. So get back to you in 20 minutes or something like that.
I think it's so good, and not to feel bad about that. I think
Mhm.
I think parents have to realize we're always modeling marriage for them, and if you want them to have a marriage where they sit on the front porch with their spouse
Mhm.
and have time just together, we got to model that for them. And so you're not
Right.
being selfish. And I love the way you said it. We do want to hear what you have to say,
Mhm.
but not now because this is dad's
Yeah.
and my time together. That's so good.
Yeah, and I think that they do recognize because they know, they know there's a lot going on in this house. They know each other. They know us. They know there's a lot of personalities. So when we tell them, they actually kind of like respect that. Like they've come to the
That's
point
nice.
where if we're going on a date night, they're like, oh well, that's yeah, you should probably do that because they
Uh,
see how much there is going on here.
Yeah.
So that's been
No,
kind of cool.
that's really good. Plus, I mean, you guys are busy with all you do with
Hmm.
lots of marriage. You're a pastor's wife, Brian's a
Hmm.
pastor.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of things that come along with that in addition to having 3 teenagers and one that's not yet.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to do. So, anything that you would say is really challenging in parenting teens now?
Yes. Specifically, I was just talking to a girlfriend who has a few teenagers as well, which is a great person to have in your life if you have
Yes.
teenagers. But we were talking about how when your kids are a little younger, if you look at families with teenagers, it's really easy to think that you'll do things differently. It just like it is. We talked about this before you get married. It's easy to have rose-colored
Yeah.
glasses and think, "Well, I'll never struggle with this thing."
Right.
Um, and so there, she said, "I feel like it's a club. I feel like it's a club you're not part of until you're there."
Interesting.
And it's not. It's just hard to imagine, having these big decisions. We're talking about colleges. We're talking about preparing somebody to potentially be moving out in less than a year, which is, psh,
That
and
yeah.
so all these things, it's like you can't really prepare yourself necessarily for it. You don't necessarily know what God's plan for your child's going to be. They're part of discovering that. And so it's just this interesting tension of like letting go in the appropriate way, in the appropriate timing, trusting God's time, his plan, but also still staying engaged and knowing kind of that line of like, how much do we engage? How do we discipline a teenager? Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it's just a new thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's and figuring out what works and doesn't damage your relationship, because I
Yes.
think some of the things, you can't lock them in the basement for what was it James Dobson said when they turned 13, put them in a barrel with a hole in it, and when they're 16, put a cork in the hole. I mean, you can't do that. You just no, we have to let them. And I think that the challenge is sometimes of letting go. I
Hmm.
love what Dave Ramsey has said about this analogy. He uses a rope that he tells his kids, here's this
Yeah.
rope. And when you make decisions and are responsible, you're gonna get more rope. And his
Hmm.
goal was in, and then when they graduate from high school, he gives them the rope, the whole rope. And it's just a
Yeah.
symbolic thing. But I think it's true. It's just helping them learn responsibility, coming alongside them and
Hmm.
enjoying them. And, because I think sometimes people look at teenagers and think, oh my gosh, can't wait till they get through this. I don't think it's the right way. I think you want to enjoy them through it
Hmm.
and walk through them. And I think what I love seeing with our kids is what God was doing with them and how he was
Hmm.
molding them and where he was eventually going to take them, and
Hmm.
that he had a plan for them that might be very different than kind of what I envisioned or Nancy envisioned at one time, and that his plan was going to be best. That was always cool.
Yeah. That's super encouraging.
Yeah, yeah. So you and Brian have been married how long now?
We just celebrated 19 years
That's what I
last
thought.
week.
You were getting close to
Hmm.
20.
Hmm.
Wow. So what are you loving about your marriage in this stage?
Yeah. So I do love that. I think at this point we have really gain the confidence to do what we talked about earlier, where we can say, "Hey guys, leave us be. We need 20 minutes," and just having that value that we share, that we're going to find those times together and that we're going to keep, you know, making sure that happens and is part of our daily routine. And then I also will say that we've been going to marriage counseling, and I think what we've found is that there's just some things that we had kind of built up over years of dealing with each other and trying to be full of grace and model, love each other like Christ loved, and trying to figure out how to navigate learning new patterns and new ways. We have just been finding some real like progress in that with certain communication habits we had from
Yeah,
probably both of us from our families of origin. It's hard to get out of that stuff. It really
absolutely.
takes so long sometimes because you don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
And so in working on that, we're just seeing some great progress in stuff that we weren't even aware of for the longest time.
That's so cool. I think that's such a great example of doing this now while your kids are still at home, instead
Mhm.
of sometimes we put things like that off. What we're doing, the kids are gone, but because you're doing it now, when you finally are empty nest, you're going to embrace that. You're going to think, "Wow, I get to spend the rest of my life with my best friend without
Mhm.
all these interruptions that we've had."
Yeah.
And they're good interruptions, but
Mhm.
it is, and so I think you're raising kids, you're helping them, but you're also laying groundwork for your marriage to continue to grow and to continue to be what God wants it to be. And I love that.
Yeah, totally. And another thing too in this specific season is just learning to have a lot of fun with like the stuff that we can all do together. The kids are
Yes.
bigger, stronger, they can go surf with Brian. We can all make a day out of it and
Yeah.
just a lot of stuff we can do that's really fun when we take the time to do it. So we've enjoyed that too about our marriage and family.
No, I think that's really good because, yeah, you're at an age where you don't have to worry about some of the things you had to worry about when our kids are younger, and you're able to
Hmm.
to really yeah, have fun with them. I mean, I loved it with
Mhm.
our kids. I love it with my grandkids, and I love each stage. Sometimes I miss them being really little, but
Mhm.
then I also love where they are right now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's so true. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me today and being a part of this. I appreciate you and all you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me.